Want to welcome everyone, but especially the 4-H members this morning. Welcome to the Kentucky State Senate Committee on Transportation. And again, welcome everyone. And if you don't mind, please take a moment to silence your cell phones, and we will ask Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Here. Senator Berg. Senator Carpenter.
Here.
Senator Elkins.
Present.
Senator Smith. Senator Storm.
Here.
Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Williams.
Here.
Senator Wilson. Vice Chair Douglas.
Present.
Chairman Higdon.
Here. Appears we have a quorum present and duly constituted to do business today. A copy of the minutes from our February 19th meeting are included in your members' folders today. If there's no edits or corrections, entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will see if any members have guests that they want to recognize. Before we do that, though, I want to take a moment to one of our colleagues today had a medical episode, and we're not sure about his well-being or exactly what's going on. So I'd like to pause for a minute of a silent prayer and pause for a minute for a prayer. Lord God, you know who our colleague is that had the medical episode this morning. Lord, be with him and be with those who are attending to him. Bless him, Lord, and bring him back to good health. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Senator Storm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today I have Laurel County 4-H with me. Joy Garland Slusher and her daughter head up the program. If they could just stand up and wave to everybody, and I'd ask the committee to make them feel welcome.
Senator Smith.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a very special guest with me. I have Kipling Keats joining me today. It's one of her school projects, so she's happy to be here with us.
All right, let's make her welcome. Senator Smith, I believe she's ready to run for office.
Yeah.
Senator Williams.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a Gallatin County School Board member, Hargis Davis, along with, I don't know if they're in the room, students from the Gallatin County School Task Force here. Are they here? Yes, they are. There we are. Welcome them, please. You'd stand.
Okay, did the Spencer County 4-H, have they made it in this morning? Okay, they're not here. They were guests of mine, but anyway, when they show up, we'll welcome there. But again, welcome to all of our 4-H members. We're glad you're here today and participating in this process. Also have a job shadow and a page today with me, Evelyn Riley from Bardstown. Evelyn, welcome. If you all don't mind, please make Evelyn welcome, please. Okay, moving right along, our first bill on the agenda today will be Senate Joint Resolution 66. Senator Funky Fromeyer. Senator, you know the program. Introduce yourself for the record and please proceed. And your guests, they can identify themselves also.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for having us today. I'm Senator Shelley Funky Fromeyer from Senate District 24, which is Campbell, Pendleton, Bracken, the northeast corner of Kenton. And I just would like a quick privilege to acknowledge guests that I have here today. A young mind that's being inspired. Young John is a middle schooler from Campbell County Middle School, as well as Amanda and Mayor Schabel from Alexandria.
Welcome.
Bob Babbage.
If you will, be sure to your green lights burning there.
Sarah Wood with Babbage co-founder, CVG Airport.
Thank you.
Bob Babbage, Babbage co-founder, CVG Airport. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What I'd like to spend just a minute on Senate Joint Resolution 66. This is relating to advanced air mobility. So AAM is what you'll hear it referred to. It is the next wave of innovation in aviation. This industry is taking off. Literally, just north of Dayton, Ohio, the Joby Aviation is manufacturing these aircraft of flying cars. They're EVTOLs, vertical takeoff and landing craft. The FAA is working on certifying these craft and have been figuring out how to manage the airspace. These things can fly. And the airspace management will be figured out in the next few years. Other states like Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida are doubling down to attract this growing industry. Kentucky has all the right ingredients to win this economic development projects in the space. We have great airports. We have existing big users like UPS and DHL, as well as airspace that is not very congested. We should be leading in this space. This resolution puts together a task force with a legislature, KYTC, and industry representatives to look to what other states are doing and see what policies we should be thinking about in Kentucky. Big picture, aviation, aerospace, and logistics is one of our top exports in Kentucky, a $16 billion in revenue to Kentucky in 2022 alone. This resolution capitalizes on that success and will help us figure out how to continue innovating and leading for decades to come. So, Mr. Chairman, I brought my friends to help me answer any questions that you might have on Senate Joint Resolution 66.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Senator Byrd, you have a question.
I do. Thank you. This is just an amazing topic. Do you have any idea how fast they go?
Well, I guess it
Serious.
depends on what job that they're achieving. I don't.
You don't know. I'm just curious because this is really interesting.
One example that was used is the importance of high quality rural health care and anticipating that you've had this sudden horrific incident and it could be on the lake. So you might need to get this specialized person quickly as opposed to taking all of the injured to the specialized place. You may need to get some specialists to the place. So it's been an interesting application that was shared with me fairly early on to be able to move those experts quickly. We might need to get Secretary Gray to one part of the state fairly quickly. So these are meant to be just small movements, not the same type as your helicopter and not the same type as your small aircraft that we currently experience. So they'd even be smaller.
Motion on the bill.
Okay, we have a motion on the bill and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We had to vote, though. I gave you the wrong clue. When the roll call is called, signify by saying aye if you're in favor, no if you're opposed. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg. Senator Carpenter. Senator Douglas.
I'm going to say aye and explain my vote.
Please
Thank you.
proceed.
I'll be very quickly. I'm going to do it now, but I really am looking forward to getting more information so that we all have some idea of what we're talking about. I'm not sure that we know that just yet, but I think we do need to take a look at it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Smith. Senator Storm.
Explain my yes vote.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the co-chair of the Aviation Aerospace Caucus here in the General Assembly, I appreciate your good work, the forward-looking work you're doing on this project, and I fully support it. Thank you.
Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Williams.
Aye.
Senator Wilson. Chair Higdon.
Aye. Senate Joint Resolution 66 is reported favorably with the expression of opinion that same shall pass with the committee substitute attached thereof. Point of order. There is no committee substitute. Okay, thank you. That's glad to hear that. And like I said, thank you. 4-Hers, this bill, if you're thinking about, wonder what we're talking about our flying cars, a vehicle without a pilot. You know, we're talking about autonomous vehicles and getting used to them with vehicles that run around town without a driver. This is an airplane that would run around without a driver, and you could summons it. You know, in your lifetime, you might see your kids go to school in these. So just it's very, very forward thinking, but the technology is there. We've seen these already being used and tested. So thank you, Senator Fromeyer, for bringing this up.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator Higdon, for your enthusiasm as well. Thank you.
Next item on the bill is Senate Bill 63 with committee substitute, an act relating to, Senate Bill 38 relating to school bus safety. Senator Elkins. That's you. On deck is Senate Bill 63. So Senator Wheeler can start preparing. You have a lot of questions, though. Senator Storm will. Well, Senator, introduce yourself for the record and your guest, and you all can please proceed.
I am State Senator Greg Elkins for the 28th District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am David Hale, State Representative for District 74. Thank you for letting me be at this meeting today.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Before you get started, we wanted to adopt the committee sub.
Yep.
We have a motion on the sub. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator, please proceed.
So it's good to see that I'm not the only one a little discombobulated this morning. I actually came down here without my presentation, so I had to slip out the side door and run back upstairs. So it's been a morning for me as well. But thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vice Chair and members of this committee for allowing me to present Senate Bill 38 to you this morning. Senate Bill 38 attempts to address a major problem that we have on our Kentucky roadways: drivers violating stop arms on our school buses. Unless you drive a school bus, you likely have no reason to know just how big this problem really is. Every year, the National Association of Transportation Directors asks volunteers to perform a safety survey. 1,491 Kentucky school bus drivers were asked to keep track of every illegal passing over the course of one day. In that one day in April of 2024, those school bus drivers recorded 489 illegal passings, including 11 passings on the right side of the bus, the side where our children are getting on and off. Keep in mind, well, that was 1,491 buses surveyed. Every day we run 8,800 buses in Kentucky. So if you do the math on what that would mean if every school bus driver were surveyed, and I did that math, it means 2,886 illegal passings every day in Kentucky. According to this survey, each school bus on our roads currently will be passed illegally on an average of once every third day. Despite the prevalence of these violations, only a sliver of these drivers are held accountable. In 2023, law enforcement only issued 361 citations all year for school bus stop arm violations, and only 151 of those motorists were fined. This type of driver behavior exists everywhere. It's on our urban roads, it's on our rural highways. Our motorists are consistently distracted by their phones, reading texts and emails, or they're just too busy to bother with stopping. Senate Bill 38 attempts to change that driver behavior by making it easier for school districts to outfit their bus fleets with stop arm cameras. The bill is entirely permissive. This bill does not require a school district to install a camera on their buses. It merely provides an ability to assist with paying for the purchase and installation and operation of these camera systems, should the school district choose to install one. No school district is required to do this. But if they do, they may engage with one of the many vendors in this space to outfit and maintain that camera system on their fleet. Rather than having the district bear the cost of those cameras, they would be funded by the violators. There have been several versions of this bill in recent years. I believe this version, as amended by the committee sub, is the best version yet. This is a perfect example of taking a good bill and making it better over time. Over the years, we've heard from members that they wanted to make sure that there are an opportunity to contest these violations. This bill outlines the defense as well as placing the appeals process in the district court system. We've heard that they don't like static cameras in work zones or at stoplights. The cameras are only turned on when the stop arm is deployed, and that's when the children are getting on and off the school bus. We've heard that the money needs to stay within the school district and not diverted elsewhere. Other than the $25 that local law enforcement would get when they review a ticket, this money stays within the school district and or the court system. This bill is strictly voluntary. It is vendor neutral, and most importantly, this bill will change driving behaviors.
We have a motion and a second on the bill. Representative Hale, do you want to say a quick? I want to commend you for your patience on this bill. I'm not patience, persistence on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, Senator Elkins covered it very well, and I appreciate his efforts on this. I think it is an incredible good piece of legislation that is hopefully going to protect the most vulnerable of our population, the students that are exiting and entering onto a school bus. I mean, most studies will show us that is probably the most dangerous time of their day, is from the moment they step onto that bus trying to get on or to get off. Had actually a personal experience with a lady right across from my house a couple of years ago. I actually didn't witness it, but my wife witnessed it. The bus was stopped to let a little boy off, and a car was approaching from the opposite direction, and the little boy was about to cross the road. The car wouldn't stop, and the mother ran into the road and physically stopped the car, basically put her arms out and stopped the car. Or it could have been a very tragic, and the stop arm was engaged. So it's a huge problem, and as the senator said, there are hundreds and hundreds of these violations happening every day, and I want to commend the senator for his work on this, and I've worked diligently on it over the last few years. But like he said, he's taken a good bill, and I think made it a great bill. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time to speak today.
Thank you. And do we have any questions from the committee? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second, and so Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg. Senator Carpenter. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Smith. Senator Storm. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Senator Wilson. Chairman Higdon.
Aye. Senate Bill 38 is finally reported favorably with the expression of opinion that same shall pass with the committee substitute attached. Congratulations, Senator Elkins, and thank you for bringing this bill forward. Representative Hale, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the committee. Appreciate it.
Next up is Senator Storm, Senate Bill 63, relating to street legal special purpose vehicles. Senator Storm, thank you, and we introduce yourself for the record and have your guests introduce themselves, and please proceed.
Motion on the sub.
We have a motion on the sub.
Second.
And we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The sub is approved. Our motion is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Brandon Storm, Senator of the 21st District.
Scott Maiden, Senator, District 29.
Eric Hubbard, Executive Director of Backroads of Appalachia.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. First and foremost, I want this committee and everyone listening to this testimony to know that I've been a proud and loyal member of Kentucky Farm Bureau for as long as I can recall. First and foremost, this legislation does not apply and is not intended to apply to apply to a vehicle primarily used for farm or agricultural activities. That's clearly set forth in Section 1, Paragraph 2 at page 2, lines 15 and 16. Next, the legislation does not mandate anyone owning a vehicle primarily used for farm or agricultural activities to register that farm or agricultural activity with their county clerk. Finally, the legislation does not mandate anyone owning a vehicle primarily used for farm or agricultural activities to separately insure or have that vehicle inspected by the sheriff of your county. What the legislation does do, however, is define what street legal special purpose vehicles are. Those are outlined on Section 1, Paragraphs 1B1 at page 1, beginning at line 13, all the way through page 2, line 13. Some of those things are roll bars, seat belts, windshields, things of that nature. Also, this clearly states that a person owning a street legal special purpose vehicle cannot operate such street legal special purpose vehicle if the highway's controlled access system, a city, county, or Department of Natural Resources prohibits the use of these vehicles, the area is not open to a special purpose vehicle, can't be operated for more than 20 miles on a highway with a center line, and cannot be operated on a federal highway. If and only if, again, if and only if a person wants to have a street legal special purpose vehicle, they must first be inspected by a certified inspector, and we put that fee in there for the county sheriff's $25 on page 15, line 6 through 7. They have to register these street legal special purpose vehicles with their county clerk, $10, page 6, lines 24 through 25, and they receive a motorcycle registration plate to meet all the requirements set forth in this bill. At this time, I turn it over to my colleague, Eric Hubbard.
Thank you, Senator Storm. Thank you, committee, for allowing us to be able to hear present. Real quickly, I can highlight the most important topics. I know you're all very busy today. Senate Bill 63 is an opportunity for economic growth and adventure. Of course, Backroads of Appalachia, our purpose is to benefit and grow Eastern Kentucky in the world of motorsports and power sport industry. Senate Bill 63 matters over economic growth and a tax revenue, competitive advantage, community revitalization, and Kentucky motorsports. Tax revenue. Power sports and motorsports are proven economic drivers. Millions in tax revenue generated annually in states like West Virginia and Tennessee. Kentucky is perfectly positioned to replicate and expand upon these successes, fueling local economies, supporting small business, and contributing directly to the state's general fund. With programs like West Virginia's Hatfield-McCoy Trail System and Tennessee Motorsport Initiative setting benchmarks for success, Kentucky has the opportunity to rise above the competition. Many rural communities in Kentucky have been economically impacted by the decline of traditional industries such as coal. Power sports and motorsports offer a pathway to revitalize these areas by attracting tourism, fostering small business developments, and providing second chance employment opportunities. As you know, we already have Backroads of Appalachia. Last year, I'm proud to say that through a third-party economic impact study, we brought in 77,000 visitors and over $50 million to our region of Eastern Kentucky, and we look forward to continue to grow that. And this bill will help us with that. But Kentucky motorsports culture is a strong foundation for growth. By passing Senate Bill 63, we will not only honor this legacy, but also create a new opportunity for professional development, recreation enjoyment, and youth engagement in the industries. Success in other states. States with full or near full legality: Arizona, Idaho, Michigan, Montana, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Utah, and Wyoming. And there's other states next door, next beside of it, that's listed that have some restrictions but are legally allowed to do so. And then to the right, including the state of Kentucky, is the states that's not allowing special use for these vehicles. So in West Virginia, as Backroads of Appalachia, we represent West Virginia and Eastern Kentucky for motorsports, and it gives us a very keen idea of how this all operates. Ohio's the hotspot for West Virginia. People are coming in from the state of Ohio and Gilbert, West Virginia, Matewan, which is on the Tug River, right on the Pike County line. They're making a killing while we're promoting not really to be able to be over here over our state road access. And it's really could create another boom for Eastern Kentucky, but most importantly, a tax revenue for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and also businesses created. Real quick, Hatfield-McCoy Trail System averages $7.4 million a year, and it's bringing in people to ride, but most importantly, not just on the trail system, but they're riding into the little towns and they're eating at the mom and pop restaurants. They're going, unloading and staying at the lodge, and even supporting local car washes. And it's truly amazing what it's doing for that part of Southwest Virginia. A big thing that I see as an issue is in the state of Montana, they are now, and you can look this up, I can legally, from the state of Kentucky, purchase a UTV, register it inside the state of Montana, and still legally be able to come here in Kentucky and operate this on national forests or other roads. It's an issue because Montana's making our tax revenue instead of our own people in our own state. I think that's a major issue with that. You can contact an attorney firm in Montana, send them the information, and congratulations, you got a Montana tag on your side-by-side. In 2023, riders in Wisconsin generated substantial economic activity, spending an estimated $4.2 billion and creating 25,845 jobs. The spending occurred across various industries, including motorsport vehicle dealers, lodging facilities, restaurants, gas stations, and retail stores. And all this information we do have and share that you can look up if you need to for the data. Right here at home, prime example, based on the data from ESRI, within a 20-mile radius of Louisville, Kentucky, over 20,000 people own one or more of the UTVs. This is just one example of a major city in Kentucky. What does the rest of the state look like? So, to go into conclusion, the power sport industry itself is a $37 billion industry. It's proven that it's going to be projected to grow in 2032 to a $69 billion industry. It is here to stay. UTVs are continuously growing inside the segment, and it's also a safer way for a person, a man or a woman, and their family to be able to go out on recreation and enjoy themselves. And of course, like I said, currently Kentucky citizens are going out of state and registering their UTVs and other like vehicles through states that allow non-residents to register a vehicle, including Montana and Vermont. By doing this, Kentucky is losing out on tax revenue, and they are bypassing what could be a legal act. Furthermore, many are simply ignoring the current set of rules and riding on state-owned roads illegally, uninsured, and unregistered. There is a bill from 1970, June 18th, that I do show on this, 186.140, and it's for non-residents. They are legally allowed to do this. By this bill, they can ride on our roads. What we're trying to do with this is, and Senator Storm and Senator Madden and Senator Smith, we've all had these conversations. We're not trying to go full-blown with this and let people have the ability to go buy a side-by-side in Hazard, Kentucky and ride to a UK ball game in Lexington. We're trying to contain it where it has enough distance that someone can unload at an Airbnb or a local motel, go ride in between, and go back and eat at restaurants and get gas and all of that before they go back to bed at night. Right now, with the current laws we have in state, it takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to unload a side-by-side at a trailhead. And then, if they need to go get gas or eat, they're going to have to load back up and complete the process. Or they can cross the state line in the state of West Virginia and don't have to do that. Where would you spend your money? And that's the problem with that.
Motion on the bill.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Before we do have some questions. Senator Carpenter.
Senator Storm, thanks for bringing this bill forward. Just a few things as a guy who has one of these things that use it on the farm. I probably got 3,000 or 4,000 miles on my little side-by-side, and I've never took it four-wheeling. Every time I ever take anything four-wheeling, I end up having to spend all my money on fixing all my parts back. I guess I do a bad job of not hitting something. But just a question, so the farm-to-farm still, this doesn't affect any kind of agriculture, farm-to-farm use of your side-by-side at all, is that correct?
That's correct. If you'll look at page 2, beginning at line 13, only street legal special purpose vehicles do not include, and it's beginning on line 15, a vehicle primarily used for farm or agricultural activities.
Right. So I want to clarify that, so make sure that, sometimes interpretation, as these things get down the system and folks start looking at it, they change what we interpret it to be that way, and what they interpret it sometimes is different. Because we just want to make sure that this is for recreational purposes, like you guys are saying. I've got tons of friends. I live in Berea, so I'm kind of in a central area that lots of people go to London, to Wildcat, or they go down to Bluestone, and they go to Tennessee, those areas all around us. And so, and some folks are going to Breathitt County and Pikeville and those areas as well. And so I know the usage and the revenue that can be generated from it, just like any other recreation. People, this is where they gather it up, load it up on their, these people aren't taking out some $5,000 pieces of equipment. These things, all my buddies, I'm like, goodness gracious, they're $30,000 side by sides. They load them up on a $5,000 trailer and pull it with a $65,000 or $70,000 pickup truck. And they're going to spend money in the weekend. That's what their family activity is. Most of them are four-seaters. The whole family goes. So I understand the purpose and the need. But in the bill, does it say and kind of make sure that this is for recreational purposes? That's what we're trying to do to protect it, right, Senator Storm? I'm just wanting clarity out loud so we know exactly where we're at.
Yeah. So the way I read this, the way we intend this, if you look at there on page 1, line 13, these are only for street legal special purpose vehicles. So let's say in a scenario that an individual has one of these and they only intend to ride it up in Pike County on the trail system they have established there. That would not necessarily be a street legal special purpose vehicle because their intent is only to operate it there. If it's a person who's only engaged in farming or wants to ride it from farm to farm, those would not be covered under this. This bill only pertains to street legal special purpose vehicles. So the analogy would be if I have a hot rod at home, and it may be a Camaro, maybe a Mustang, maybe a Corvette, name the kind of car you like. If I'm working on that vehicle and I intend to take it to the drag strip that night, if it's a street legal vehicle, it has to be registered, it's got to be inspected, has to have certain tires and things of that nature. That's kind of what the idea is. Now, if that same person never intends to ever have that vehicle on anything but the drag strip, and they want to have, different kinds of tires, different engines, different capacities, then those are not titled or registered or street legal. And so that's what we're trying to differentiate. These vehicles are only the ones that want to be street legal. It's optionary, or optional, I should say. If they want to go register those, they can. They don't have to. But if they're going to, they need to be inspected. They need to be lawful. They need to have the roll bars. They need to have the brake clamps. They need to have the seat belts and all the things that make these as safe as possible. And they need to be insured. And it's, again, the industry, if they don't want to insure them, they don't have to. But if they're going to be out there operating on our roadways, we want to make sure that they're safe as possible. And those will be the street legal special purpose vehicles.
Right. Mr. Chairman, can I have one more?
Yes, sir.
So like let's say you go to a recreational park and let's say the gas station. I know exactly what you're talking about and what you're talking about. A gas station is, let's say, we can use any of them, Wildcat. There's a gas station not too far down the road that you might want to go to the gas station and fill up your unit instead of having to load it up on the trailer and do all those things. Is that wouldn't be considered? So if they're on the trailhead, this would allow them to be able to run down the US old 25 there going toward Livingston, let's say, is not a major. I mean, it's a busy road back in the day, but now that the interstate's there, it's not like a major thoroughfare. They would be able to leave from that facility and maybe go down. I'm using that as an example. They could go back toward London. There's probably a little gas station 5 or 6 miles down the road that way as well. This would allow them to go down there, maybe have a lunch, eat a cheeseburger, get a sandwich, fill up with gas, and then go back to the facility. Am I correct or incorrect?
You are 100% correct. Prime example is Highway 119 in Harlan County, Putney Trailhead and Black Mountain Trail System. The nearest gas station is 2.4 miles away, and there's been many times that I've seen people pulled over on the side of the shoulder because they just went to get gas.
Right.
And this gives them the ability to do that without having to load and unload. Again, we're trying to make it a fair market in competition against our neighboring states.
Right. Okay. Well, those answers my questions. I just want to make sure that we're protecting the farm side of it to make sure that we're not creating issues there. And I'm sure there's going to be more conversation about it. And I really appreciate your all's work. And my friends, are wanting something like this because a lot of those folks, that's their hobby. I go fishing when I have time, and they love to go ride their side by side. So we appreciate your work, Senator Storm. Appreciate your work on it. And I know there's going to be probably a few more questions, and I know you're working hard on it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Storm, I know my colleague is protecting the farm side of it, and I just want to make this verbal as well, protecting the recreational side. This bill in no way forces anyone to make their UTV or ATV street legal simply by the process of ownership, does it?
Exactly. You're correct.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Yep.
Senator Storm. I think this is a wonderful way of creating flexibility across our Commonwealth for the different needs of the different communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Senator Elkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Storm, I want to thank you for bringing this bill, and I appreciate the work that you've done on it, particularly to exempt agriculture equipment, also to try to gear it towards recreational. But I have a question. So if I have a home in Lexington, Kentucky, I can get on my side-by-side and ride around New Circle Road 19 miles to visit with my son in another home. Is that an accurate interpretation of this bill, as long as it is licensed and meets the requirements of special purpose vehicle? Is that correct?
Well, first and foremost, I would note on page 2, beginning at line 18, that line 20, if a city, county, or Department of Natural Resources prohibits the use of these special purpose vehicles, then that answer would be no. So if Lexington decided to pass an ordinance that says, hey, we don't want these items on that roadway due to traffic volume, whatever the reason is, they could outlaw this pursuant to that prohibition. So we've given them that authority. So that's my answer to that. I think if, again, we're not trying to get individuals that can drive from London to the UK ball game and back in one of these, but if they're going to travel, no longer than 20 miles on a highway that's displaying a centerline markings, then as long as they're not prohibited by a city or county or other governmental entity, then they would be permitted.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions. Oh, okay, Senator Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, guys. Again, interesting bill. This is really more of a comment than a question because the doctor in me is like going. I want to say that if it's not required, at least I hope that you strongly encourage wearing helmets. Because I get to take care of people who come in who haven't worn their helmets, and it's not a pretty sight. So I just want to put that out there, that you need to protect your head when you're doing these activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, I have a motion and a second on the bill. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong.
May I explain my yes vote, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Senator Storm. I think this is a good bill. I saw Boonville, Kentucky, where my family's from in the slideshow. Really glad to vote for this bill. My only concern is what we were just talking about, where it says that cities or counties have to opt out. I'd prefer to see something where cities or counties have to opt in or something like that. I hope maybe that's something we can take a look at depending on how the implementation goes. But I think it's a good bill, and glad to vote yes today. Thank you.
Senator Berg. Aye. Senator Carpenter.
Aye.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Elkins.
Explain my vote, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I vote aye. I echo Senator Chambers Armstrong's sentiments on, I would prefer to see them opt in as opposed to opt out. I don't know if that's something you're willing to look at going forward, but it is something that would make me more comfortable. But I do like the fact that you exempted ag equipment. I do like the fact that you are giving local control to our local government. So with that, I vote aye.
Senator Smith.
Yes, please. Turn your microphone on there.
No, still don't know.
Yeah.
Brandon, we can't hear you.
How about that?
That's better.
Better, yeah. Yeah, I just want to thank them for the work they've done on this, but also Eric, to single him out for coming down in the flood just the last couple of days and bringing us supplies and staying around to help us, and just really appreciate that and look forward to see where this bill's going to go. Thank you.
Senator Storm. Aye. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Aye. Senator Wilson. Chairman Higdon.
Aye, and I'd like to explain my aye vote. I want to thank the sponsor for his work on this bill. I know we lot of thought went into this bill, and I thank you for your work on this bill, and thank you. And I proudly vote aye. Senate Bill 63 is reported favorably with expressions of opinion that the same shall pass with committee substitute attached. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Okay, at this time I have a bill to present, so I'll turn it over to my co-chair, Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Up next on the agenda is actually Senate Bill 136, an act relating to titling and registration system, and it will be sponsored by Senator Higdon. Wonderful. So, Senator Higdon, would you identify yourself for the records, and if you have any guests, would they please identify themselves?
Yes, thank you. Senator Jimmy Higdon, 14th Senate District.
Good morning. Tabitha Clemens, Grant County Clerk and immediate past president of the Kentucky County Clerks Association.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear, you too? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
That's old habits are hard to break for me. There is a committee sub, and I understand at least there's a proposed committee sub, and it's already in the members' packets. Senator Higdon, would you like to adopt the committee sub?
Motion on the sub, please. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there anyone who would like to have the sub explained? No? Thank you. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The sub is adopted. Senator Higdon, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be very brief. This is a omnibus bill where we have several things that are combined into one. This is primarily known as the CAVIS cleanup bill. I don't know if y'all have heard of CAVIS. We had a few issues, and we've worked on those during the interim, and the clerks and KYTC have collaborated, and this is primarily their language, and everybody's in agreement. If you look at the bill, sections 1 through 11 and sections 24 and 25, it's cleanup language for CAVIS, and again, with collaboration between KYTC and the County Clerks Association. Sections 12 through 16 and section 27, we had an issue, a couple years ago, where NADA, the old standby that everyone used to value a used vehicle, NADA no longer exists. And there's really nothing in statute that says, what do you do? What does an insurance, Senator Williams, if you have a collision and they're going to total your vehicle, right now it's kind of the Wild West on where we get the information or how insurance companies decide how much they're going to pay you for your used vehicle that's no longer drivable. So this takes care of that, and it just does emergency regs on that, and it will accept used car valuation guides. There are several of them that they can choose from, and it talks about that. Section 17 through 22 and section 26, this deals with real ID. And there's a United States has agreement with the non-immigration pursuant to the Compact of Free Association between the United States and the Free Associated States, which is primarily the Virgin Islands or Marshall Islands, and that allows them to get a real ID because there is an agreement. Anybody from the Marshall Islands will be able to get a real ID by, again, this is federal law. This says they can do that. Section 21 primarily is a cleanup for the state police pilot project.
I hear a motion on the bill. Do I hear a second? We have a second. Senator Higdon, I don't want to be rude to your guest. Is there anything you'd like to add?
The clerks are in support of the bill. If there's no questions, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you very much. I've heard a motion on the bill and a second. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Chambers Armstrong.
Aye.
Senator Berg.
Aye.
Senator Carpenter. Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Higdon.
Aye.
Senator Smith.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams.
I'd like to explain my aye vote.
Go ahead.
I'm voting for the bill. We definitely need to do it, but I'm wondering. We have the Marshall Islands, the Republic of Palau, and Federated States of Micronesia. Will we need additional action in the future to add Greenland to that list? I'm voting aye for now.
Senator Wilson. Chairman Douglas.
Aye. Senate Bill 136 is reported favorably with the expression and opinion of the section of that the same. It should pass with committee. It should pass. Now we also have a committee substitute. Okay. There also is a title amendment. Motion on title amendment. Second. Second. Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Title amendment is adopted. Title amendment is adopted. I forgot to turn on my microphone. Senator Higdon, wonderful bill. I want to thank you both for being here to present this bill. We also have some administrative regs. Do you want to come back up and do that, or
I'll let you do that, but on my way back up. But I do want to, Mr. Chairman and the committee, thank you for your vote on this bill. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and it's good to have a little humor in a committee meeting.
Yes, sir. And sometimes it is very little humor.
No, most of the time if it's from me.
Okay. Well, we have one regulation for the committee to review on our agenda today. Members were sent a regulation package prior to the meeting, and that package is in your folder. We have someone with the transportation here, from the transportation cabinet here. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask. Okay. Obviously, the committee does not approve administrative regulations, but if there's no objections raised to the regulations, these regulations will take effect after the meeting. The committee also has an option of deferring or amending this regulation with the agreement of the agency or finding the regulation deficient. Any questions? Okay, the record will reflect that the committee has reviewed the regulation. I'm sorry.
I'd like to hear from the cabinet on these if they don't mind, just to enlighten us on the regulation and why it's needed, please.
Okay. This is John Johnson, Assistant General Counsel, Transportation Cabinet. This is an amendment to the Certification of Disadvantaged Business Enterprises Regulation found 600 KR 410. The amendment does three basic things. One, it brings the definition section in line with the federal CFRs. Two, it does some cleanup clarification as to voting majority on the committee that certifies disadvantaged business enterprises. And three, we've added an appeal section required by the federal government by email, which was different than the last version of the reg. And we kicked in another appeal process. They want to go through the state appeals process by way of KRS 13B.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I needed. I just like to hear what the cabinet had to say. We hate for them to come all the way over here and not hear from them.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman, and I think that was very appropriate. The record will therefore reflect that the committee has reviewed the regulation. Is there any other business to be brought before the committee today?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn.